Hey guys, I forgot to introduce myself in this video, so here you go. It's Kiana Mayfield from LibraLunaCenter.com here for your weekly forecast from September 11th through the 17th of 2017. So, welcome to your last quarter square of the moon in Gemini. I hope you enjoy the recording, and thank you for watching. And this week we are having the last quarter square of the moon in Gemini in the middle of the week. And the crazy thing about this particular last quarter square of the moon is that it will be forming a mutable T-square with the Sun in Virgo and Saturn in Sagittarius. And as well as on Tuesday, it will be making a square over to Neptune in Pisces. So overall, this is a mutable grand cross, which will be adding to the craziness we've been experiencing since the beginning of this year. So between Sunday and Monday, right, we have Jupiter in Libra, an exact sextile over to the North Node. What this aspect is bringing to us, this Jupiter sextile the North Node at the beginning of the week, is pointing towards our path. Our path is felt the most prominently, or is aligned in the most harmonious way through balance, right? Through the not only the internal balance, as we adjust ourselves to our environment or the people in our environment, or to ourselves, right, to the different facets of our being, but also to the people in our life, right? Our relationships, how we get along with each other, right? How we see, how we compromise, and how we integrate as a unit, right? How we come together is the path of harmonious integration towards our destiny, right? With the North Node and Leo involved. The way through, the way out of this crazy period, right? The way out of feeling like we'll never be able to surpass our limitations with the Sun in Virgo, right? The Sun in Virgo bringing up everything that we feel is impure or unclean in our lives, everything that we feel has been perhaps splayed about, that we feel perhaps has been inhibiting our ability to grow. And this will be pronounced even more as the Sun squares over to Saturn during this week. But before that happens, Jupiter sextile the North Node is a reminder of what's important. Right? A reminder of the way out of the craziness, the way out of criticism, the way out of the hard way, right? The hard life, the hard path is through balance, is through harmony, is through love, is through being here with the people that you love, right? The people that surround you, not only romantically, right? Everyone. All relationships are feeding your purpose right now. And you, before we get to the autumn equinox, which is when partnerships and relationships in general will be a major focus, and before we get to Jupiter entering Scorpio next month, September is a preparatory phase of not only reviewing our lives, not only reviewing our plans, our schedule, getting things together in our day-to-day world, getting things together in our health, in our mundane, physical, practical reality, right? Getting prepared for the shift. We're also cleaning out the closets of our relationships, right? Not in a negative way, but in a way that is seeing who comes along for the journey and who does not, right? I spoke about this for the full moon in Pisces as well. But Jupiter in sextile to the North Node is a wake-up call to what's important to you, right? What aligns you on the right path and what does not. And you'll need to make this distinction. And you'll have plenty of time to do this, but it will be even more pronounced as Jupiter is aiming to expand in Libra, right? Aiming to expand its circumference of influence aiming to expand in the area of balance and harmony and relationships itself. And everything that surrounds us now will grow even more intense by the time Jupiter comes into Scorpio. So if you do not like what you see now is the time to change that, right? Now is the time to get that in alignment. And Jupiter sextile the North Node is a very, very positive aspect for you to be able to make this happen. It'll be more easy to get it done now than it will any other time, right? So that's happening at the beginning of this week on Monday, from Sunday going into Monday. On Tuesday through Wednesday, from the 12th to the 13th, we'll be having Venus in Leo trining over, making an exact trine over to Saturn, 21 degrees on Tuesday. And also on Tuesday, we'll be having a mutable T-square between the moon and Gemini, opposing Saturn in Sagittarius, which has gone direct, which has been direct since August 25th, right? And the sun in Virgo will be squaring over to it on Wednesday, exact. So this is crazy energy, right? Because it's mutable. Mutable energy is very all over the place, right? But mutable energy itself is trying to get us to broaden our perspective, to look in multiple different directions, right? To gather more data, to gather more information. And the information we're trying to seek, especially with the last quarter square of the moon in Gemini, the sign that basically explodes in 1,000 different directions, trying to get to the source of all of them, right? The jack of all trades. Opposing Saturn, this is looking at our karma, right? This is looking at not only our karma, but our destiny, our path, our future, right? What we wish to build. And it's almost as if this moon in Gemini is stimulating our curiosity, but as well as our paranoia. It can, right? As the moon is in Virgo, trying to, the moon is in Virgo. Mercury, Gemini's ruling planet, is in Virgo. Getting ready to conjunct Mars by the end of this week as well, but it's in Virgo, and it has gone retrograde in Virgo, back into Leo, and just came back into Virgo. So Mercury has been all over the place, right? And it's still in shadow. It will be in shadow until September 19th. So Mercury right now is integrating all that it has learned since the Mercury retrograde that happened in the middle of August. So Mercury in Virgo in itself is like an investigator, or more than an investigator, that's more of a Scorpio thing, right? So Mercury in Virgo is more of a research analyst, right? He's the one that or she it is the one that you know, builds the spreadsheets, gets the files in order, is the one who organizes the plans, the documents, the practical details of our world, right? Is the one that handles the material assets, and is the one that is the most precise in their ability to analyze and get to the bottom of data, right? Get to the substance of data. Mercury in Virgo is the most detail-oriented and the most precise in their understanding of our material world. So Mercury in Virgo in itself is not stable, right? Because Virgo is a mutable sign. And with the moon in Gemini trying to figure out the answers and trying to ask multiple different questions, looking at different ways to perceive our destiny, looking at different ways to look at where we want to go, right? And we're questioning, almost questioning incessantly if this is where we want to go. And that can bring on the paranoia, especially between Monday and Wednesday. We'll be having the moon square over to Neptune as well, which kind of adds on the quality of getting lost in our mind, getting lost in our mental chatter, because it can go in a million different directions, right? It can go in places where are not exactly realistic, but also not exactly our own, right? So the only thing keeping us stable here is Venus trining over to Saturn, because Venus is in a fixed sign, the fixed sign of Leo at this particular mutable T-square. And as all of this crazy energy with the mental pursuit of truth, right? The mental pursuit of or the scatterbrained energy of trying to get everything together, trying to understand everything, trying to look in, or trying to I'm seeing like a person who's putting together a Rubik's Cube and trying a whole bunch of different tactics to be able to put the Rubik's Cube together, but it's just not coming together, right? So this is the energy we'll be stepping into in the middle of the week. And my astrological advice during this time is to not get lost, is to not allow yourself to let the monkey mind roll over, right? To not get lost in the details, to not get scatterbrained. The only way to stay focused right now is to focus on what you want, right? Is to focus on what you desire and the stable, steady course that this path leads you to, as Venus is trining over to Saturn. So what you want can ultimately have a very creative, stabilizing force in your life towards your destiny, right? Towards the path where you've chosen to travel. And even though, yes, this T-square in particular, as the sun is at the focal point of this T-square, the sun in Virgo, ultimately what we're trying to do, ultimately what all of these questions are having us come to, is the realization that we must change, right? Is the realization that we must become more, we must grow. And the sun in square to Saturn on Wednesday is even more of, you know, the feeling of needing to leave it behind, right? Needing to leave your old self behind, needing to purify yourself, right? To shed your skin, in a sense. It's like the culmination of who we were around, I would say, March, right? I don't know the exact date, but when the sun in Pisces was at this degree squaring over to Saturn, was at around 21 to 26 or 7 degrees of Pisces squaring over to Saturn, right? Who we were at that time in March earlier this year is now culminating, right? We're shedding the final layer of whatever that was. We're shedding ourselves and our lives and our day-to-day reality, right? What we do on a day-to-day basis on a practical level, right? Shedding the surface of our lives in pursuit of the dream, right? It's like the chasing of the American dream. Even though I know all of you aren't American, but you know what I mean, right? Chasing after our vision, chasing after what we believe is our purpose. And to do that, we must align our day-to-day lives with that, right? In order to get to the apex of whatever mountaintop we're looking to climb, with it being Saturn, of course, Saturn ruling Capricorn, when Capricorn is the mountaintop. We're looking to get to the top of our lives. And the top of our lives is Sagittarius at this point, right? Is the journey, is the destination, is the vision, it's the grand adventure that we're all looking to journey towards, right? And that journey requires us to be absolutely precise and dedicated in the sense that we are aligning our outer lives to reflect what we want, right? We can't, you know, want to build a multi-million-dollar enterprise and continue, you know, watching reruns of Billions and watching everybody else get rich on television and not doing it yourself, not putting in the work, not making the contacts, not, you know, setting the schedule, not getting out there and grinding, you know. All of this Virgo energy right now is opposing Neptune. And thankfully we don't have the South Node there anymore, which giving us an ability to feel like we have a footing, right? We have control over our own unconscious impulses. The challenge for us is to be able to live our dreams versus dreaming our dreams, right? Because dreaming our dreams, first of all, is what has caused us this sense of purposelessness, aimlessness, homelessness, and pain, right? It is the reason why we feel like we're stuck. It's the reason why there's a gap between us and where we want to be, right? Because heretofore, we have been living in the bubble, right? We have been dreaming the dream. And it's not enough to do that anymore. Because dreaming the dream means that we're sitting on the sidelines. And sitting on the sidelines means that we're not participating. And not participating means that the journey is out of reach, right? The journey is a pipe dream in that sense. And this Virgo season is all about integrating dreams with reality. And with that, we have to come to terms with our limits, we have to come to terms with our boundaries, and we have to come to terms with our fear, right? Because our fear of perhaps being criticized, our fear of perhaps failing, all of the fears that plague the typical Virgo in our day and age, right? Of it not being perfect, of it not going perfect, of something being out of control. This is the fear of Virgo, right? Of something being dirty and not being able to clean up the mess, of feeling like you're in a pit of your own clutter, right? And the clutter ultimately is your mind, is your mind's clutter, what you've created, right? Stewing in your own decaying dreams, right? Because ultimately Virgo wishes to bring not only the dreams of Pisces, its opposite sign, into reality, but to refine the heart frequency of Leo, the sign preceding Virgo, right? To shed off the dead weight that Leo itself brings, which is the drama and the grandiose exterior mask that it puts on as a show, right? As a sort of a costume. It sheds the costume. Virgo sheds the costume of Leo. And in that sense, as the costume is shed, we enter the pyramid of Libra, which is what we'll be going into with the autumn equinox when the sun moves into Libra, as fully fledged, pure individuals. And purity is not just, you know, being good, which is a misconstruement of the Virgo archetype, right? Being pure is about not being corrupted. And what this means, right, is not having any environmental influences tampering with the purity of your being, right? Not having anything outside of your essential essence, tampering with your essential essence, right? Virgo purifies Leo in order to come into the pyramid of Libra, so that as the pure individual that Virgo presents itself inside of the pyramid of Libra, we're able to come together in the pyramid of Libra as a whole, as a bunch of quote unquote pure individuals, idealistically, right? Idealistically meaning this does not usually happen, because most people are not pure, right? Most people are influenced by their friends, by their peers, by their parents, by their upbringing, by their environment, by their siblings, by their family members, by anything and everything that we come across in this world, right? Everything is aiming to almost tune us out of our own frequency, to tune us out of our own song. Everyone's singing their own song. And if we listen to their song above and beyond our own, right? Our song comes out of tune. And Virgo needs for us to have our song in tune so that we can sing in harmony in Libra. Right now, with the Sun squaring Saturn, this is asking us what our costumes are, right? Where we have put on a sort of identity in the sense I'm referring to is a mode of behavior, right? What habitual patterns, tendencies, or ways of being, ways of behavior that you usually align yourself with in order to move about your day-to-day life. All of that needs to be refocused, reevaluated, and reconfigured so that it is in alignment with the journey up ahead, the adventure up ahead that we all wish to pursue with Saturn and Sagittarius. We have to align new ways of being, right? We have to create new habits, even if this takes 40 days and 40 nights, right? We have to detox, because we're messy, right? We're messy from all of the Pisces energy we've been through for the past almost 2 years now, right? The full moon in Pisces was the final culmination of all of the energy we experienced in the beginning of 2017, as well as all of 2016 and the end of 2015. All of that was released, purified, and cultivated in a new way, right? And right now is the stretch of time we have until the new moon in Virgo, which will be solidifying, in a sense, this newfound mode of being, this newfound pattern of behavior, these new habit patterns that we wish to initiate into our lives, right? And right now, love is the only stability we have. Love that comes from our heart, right? Love that knows no bounds, right? Love that simply just is because it exists within us, right? It will take on a very different quality as Venus moves into Virgo, which won't happen until next week. But for now, this is our form of stability. This is our form of what brings us closer to ourselves, what brings us on the path towards our destiny, right? What gets us focused, what gets us in a direction, right? Versus directionless, versus all over the place. And so from the 14th through the 15th, from Thursday through Friday, we have Venus in Leo conjuncting the North Node. And as this happens, the moon will be in Cancer, and it will be opposing Pluto for the last time, and before Pluto comes direct in about 2 weeks, right? On September 28th, I believe, is when Pluto in Capricorn comes direct, and the moon in Cancer will be opposing it. And later on Friday, we'll be having the moon as well squaring over to Jupiter in Uranus retrograde. So this is big relationship time because Venus is involved, of course. Venus being on top of the North Node is a big wake-up call, right? It's a big oversight, overview of our destiny, of our purpose, of our reason for being here, of our heart, right? What our heart truly wants, what it truly desires, and what ultimately it will attract to it, right? The things, the people, the circumstances, the situations, the finances, the ideas, the projects, the creations that are yours, right? What is yours is the message of Venus conjuncting the North Node. Anything that's surrounding you now, anything that comes in now. And this will be especially prominent with from the time Venus conjuncts the North Node on Friday until Venus comes to the solar eclipse degree, 28 degrees Leo, which will happen next week as well. Around the beginning of next week, so Monday through Tuesday. So from around Thursday of this week to around Tuesday of next week is a big window of everything that's supposed to be in your life, right? Everything that's here, everything that you see, right? That you're cultivating within you, everything that is blossoming, right? The direction that it's speaking to is what is yours, is what is your desire, right? And if you do not like what you see, of course, now is the time that this is realized. Now is the time that you see what you can't take with you. And as this happens, we'll be having the moon in Cancer opposing Pluto. So this is a very objective view of what you desire, right? As the moon in Cancer is stimulating our emotions, is stimulating what we want, is stimulating what we need, especially with the moon in Cancer. All of our feelings, all of our deep hidden emotions, as Pluto is digging beneath the surface of Cancer, is having us look at our power, having us look at what we want. And Pluto is has just stopped, right, as it is preparing to come direct on September 28th. It has stopped in the sky, so it's a very it's almost like a haunted mansion, right? We're looking at our haunted mansion on the outside of the haunted mansion, on the outside of it, right? We're looking at it, and emotions are flooding us right now. Emotion, all different types, all colors of the rainbow, of both ends of the emotional spectrum are flooding us. And we're looking at our life, our lifestyle, we're looking at our relationships, we're looking at our career, right? We're looking at our finances, we're looking at everything that we're creating in our lives. And we're seeing what pieces we want and what pieces we don't. And the sun in Virgo, of course, is the time to be nitpicky, is the time to discriminate, is the time to make decisions, make choices, especially with the sun squaring over to Saturn. This is a big decision-making time. This is a big marker in time. a marker as far as the decisions you make now are going to influence what happens in the future. It's like a fork in the road, right? And you can either choose to go down the impure, somewhat lackadaisical, somewhat nebulous, distorted, paranoid, scatterbrained path, or you can choose to go down where you know you've needed and wanted and desired to go down for some time. And none of our emotions can be hidden now. And even though it feels like we're stuck in the mess, or there's no way we can get out of our own messes, right? There's no way for us to sludge through the mud, right? To trek through it all. It feels like we're stuck in like quicksand. Our power comes back online when Jupiter opposes Uranus and Pluto comes direct at the end of this month, which the start of that cycle happens when the new moon happens next week in Virgo. So from around September 19th, I believe, is when the new moon occurs, which is also when Mercury comes out of shadow, which is pretty trippy. But from September 19th through around the end of September, there's this window of time of getting everything in order, right? And having the power to get things in order. It's like the explosion, the exploding out of this feeling of stuckness, this feeling of being inhibited in some way or tied by our past, of course, but our wounds and our fears, right? Everything that we feel like we are. We may feel like we are our fear. And this is why it's so hard to break the pattern. This is why it's so hard to break out of the habitual cycle that we've been in. It takes guts, it takes courage, and it takes discipline. It takes hard work. But one step at a time is all we need to be able to break the cycle, to be able to come out of the rat race. So, Thursday through Friday will be coming out of the feeling of being scatterbrained, but on the flip end of that will be very, very emotional, right? Going through every single spectrum of our emotional undercurrent. But ultimately it's helping us get to the bottom of what we desire, right? Getting to the bottom of what we need, what we want, and what needs to be in our life. So it's heavy emotional processing, but it's getting us to choose and make the decision to choose our heart. Right? Because we can choose, of course we can choose, it's always there. We can choose the path of resistance, which is living in the non-heart, right? Living in isolation, which is the South Node in Aquarius. We can choose to go down that road. It's very easy. We've been living in it for some time now. But in order to get what you want, right? And I believe most of you watching this video will be choosing to go down the path of the heart, right? Because I'm sure all of you have been feeling this dimensional shift that we've all been experiencing since the solar eclipse in Leo. And the Venus in Leo, conjuncting the North Node and coming to the eclipse degree, is bringing a massive amount of understanding and emotional receptivity to what the solar eclipse was trying to download into us. It's like because Mercury already touched the solar eclipse degree, right? As it came out of retrograde, it went direct at 28 degrees Leo, which is the solar eclipse degree. So we already have an understanding of what the solar eclipse was trying to give to us. We have an understanding of our purpose, of our desire, mentally speaking, analytically speaking, in our minds and our heads, right? We see it. We can feel it, we can perceive it, right? But Venus at the eclipse degree is a holistic integration on a mind, body, soul level of what it all meant for us, what it all was, right? What all went down. We're seeing it, right? Or we've seen it, but now it's physical, it's tangible, right? It's felt, it's tasted. The experience is heightened for us. It's like being alchemized, right? Our taste of the future is what is leading the way for us now, right? And whatever's coming to you now is what is meant for you. On the weekend, from the 16th through the 17th, we'll be having the moon in Leo in its balsamic phase, which will also go on to conjunct the North Node and Venus. And we have, particularly on Saturday, we have Mercury conjuncting Mars, exact 7 degrees in Virgo. And once again, right, as this already happened at least 2 times now, Mercury conjuncted Mars. One, I believe, was into the end of July. I don't remember my notes per se, but yeah, I think it was Mercury in Leo conjuncting Mars in Leo at the end of July, after the first new moon in Leo at 0 degrees, which occurred, right? And the second Mercury-Mars conjunction occurred while Mercury was retrograde, and they met at the solar eclipse degree. And so now they're meeting in Virgo for the third and final time. And as this happens, Venus will be in trine over to Uranus retrograde. So, of course, always be careful during a balsamic phase, because a balsamic phase is an ending period. It's preparing, it's sweeping away, it's the dark moon phase before we move into the new moon. So the dark moon phase is everything subconscious coming out, and in the sign it's in, right? So the subconscious impulses of Leo is the need for drama, is the need for attention, is the need for love and needing love in a way that is overly dramatized, in a way that is can be rejected, right? Is opening us up to rejection, because it's more so the need of attention than the need for love, right? It's like a draining of energy. It's like an energy vampire. So just watch out for that, because it will be feeling the energy as it's in its balsamic phase. So ultimately, we're preparing for the new moon in Virgo, which will be cleaning our lives up a whole lot, right? And cleaning us up as it will be as it will be opposing Chiron, right? Cleaning us up in a way that we are prepared to face our fears head on, prepared to schedule our lives in a way that reflects our deepest intentions and desires, right? The balsamic phase of the moon in Leo is just is of course the stimulation of our heart, but it can stimulate us in the wrong way. So just be patient until we get to the new moon, because by the new moon in Virgo, we will be having all the answers. We will be much more discriminatory in a sense that we'll know the next actions to take. We'll know the next steps to take, right? Because we'll be sober in a sense. Don't do anything while you're drunk, right? Is the balsamic moon in Leo type of motto that we'll be needing through the weekend. So just a little astro warning for that. But this is a massive amount of intensity towards our purpose, right? Towards our destiny, towards what we love, what we desire, what we want in our lives, what we want to create in our lives, right? Because it's the moon in Leo, and it will be conjuncting Venus. It will be conjuncting the North Node, and Venus will be trining over to Uranus, which is wanting to be stimulated, wanting to ascend, wanting to raise the bar to a whole new level, wanting to go on a new adventure, wanting to make the leap out of the box, right? To step right over the edge. That's what Venus wants to do right now. It's the impulse to do that. And it's a very exciting weekend up ahead, but it's just cautionary because there's a time period involved here, right? There's a cycle that goes into this, and we're having, you know, the sun preparing to oppose Chiron pretty soon, and it's not necessarily a fun aspect, but it's a necessary one because it's having us face our fears. It's having us look our fears in the face, look our past in the face, look at our programming in the face, look at ourselves, look at our shadow, our unconsciousness in the face, and see and choose what we want to be, right? Who we want to be. Because we can't let the past define who we are. We can't let the mess in our lives, whatever our life is at this point, whatever your life situation happens to be at this point. It's realizing that there is a way, there is a solution, there is a method to unraveling the cords, unraveling the knots, right? There's a way to clean it all up. It can happen. But there's a time period involved, there's a process involved, and it's one step at a time. But the moon in Leo just wants to play. The balsamic moon in Leo just wants to get there. You don't want to jump the gun, right? Especially because we have Mercury conjuncting Mars, which is this intense mental pressure to want to know all the facts. And it's especially being in Virgo. 7 degrees. It wants to figure it out, right? It wants to know all the answers. It wants to solve the riddle. It wants to, you know, get an A on its test, right? It wants to win because Mars is involved, but win in the sense that it can see everything. But you can't see everything right now. You can't see how everything will play out, right? You can't see what the results will be, right? You can't see when you'll get there. All you can do is take one step at a time. And this aggravates Mercury and Mars in Virgo, because Mercury and Mars in Virgo just want to clean it all up, just want to get it out of the way, just want to pass the test, right? Just wants to get to the next level. And even though there's that pressure there, and even though it's not there, right? It's not fully there yet, the crystal clarity isn't there. But the mind-body alignment, mind-body, right? Meaning our actions, our ways of going about our day-to-day life, right? Our drive, Mars in Virgo, is aligned with our mind, with Mercury. So ultimately, with this alignment, it leads to massive productivity, right? It leads to massive initiative, because we're taking action on what we see. We're taking action on what we want. We're taking action on our plans and our dreams. We're not sitting back and daydreaming, right? It's about getting some skin in the game. And Mercury conjuncting Mars in Virgo is one of the best aspects to get our skin in the game, because we are playing the game, right? We're getting our stuff together. So there is this massive glimpse of the future, this taste of the future that we're all getting during the weekend. But it's all about noticing your limits, right? And we're having that imprint now. We're having that decisive choice now in the middle of the week, with Sun squaring over to Saturn, and the mutable T-square that stimulates this urge to figure it all out, and realizing that you can't, right? We're being humbled in a sense that we're not trying to escape, right? We're not trying to run away from our lives. We are becoming more holistic, because we're integrating the dream, and we're integrating the plan, the vision, the future with our current reality, right? We're making it more real. We're making it more solidified in this way, as we're bringing both halves of the equation to the story. It's not just one extreme or the other. We're not just sitting and daydreaming on one end, and we're not just completely obscured and shadowed or eclipsed by our own reality, by our own life decisions up to this point, by our own fears. We're not stuck. So again, it just comes down to knowing your limits, knowing where you are, and being okay with where you are, being completely centered and balanced and in love with where you are. And from there, you're able to create whatever you want, because as you take one step at a time, over time, those steps become momentous, right? They grow bigger, they snowball, and ultimately they come to build a life of their own, right? And that's the journey we're all looking to. We're all looking to travel down. So I know this was a long video, but I'm really feeling some good type of energy from this week, even though it looks crazy, right, with the mutable grand cross that forms in the beginning of the week. This is just our monkey chatter minds, you know, kind of playing tricks on us, but having us look at different angles of the same story, right? And we're all being pressured to make a decision within ourselves, make a commitment to our future. And this takes guts, but ultimately it takes the controlling of our mind, right? The authority. We take back our own authority over our mind, right? We don't let ourselves be swayed by outside opinion, or the media, or the media in your environment, which is your friends or your family or anyone else you're associated with, right? The groups you belong to, whatever. We have to make our own decisions. We have to make our own choices. We have to live our own lives. And this comes down to knowing what you want, and not necessarily questioning it, but looking at where it aligns with the overall purpose that the solar eclipse in Leo in August was trying to throw you into, right? To morph you into. And we're slowly being morphed into whatever this solar eclipse brought to us over the next year, right, until November of 2018, which is how long the North Node will be in Leo. So this is the story we're all going down now, and it's about being okay with that and realizing that it doesn't have to be, you know, something that just so black or white, right? which is what the South Node in Aquarius kind of wants it to be. It has to be colorful. It has to be full of wonder and adventure and love and childlike excitement, which is what Leo wants. It has to come from the heart. And coming from the heart, you have to take it one step at a time, right? You have to take it one day at a time, one action at a time, one breath at a time, right? You have to be present, you have to be here. So, yes, and next week we'll be getting ready with the new moon in Virgo and the sun opposing Chiron and Venus coming at the eclipse degree, and as well as the autumn equinox happening as the sun moves into Libra the next week as well. And we have Venus coming into Virgo as Mercury comes out of shadow as well. Mercury comes out of shadow on the day of the new moon, by the way, which is September 19th. And all of this is preparing us for the Jupiter opposition to Uranus and Pluto coming direct, which is some of the biggest energy you'll be dealing with in the year. So I will be here to discuss that when we get to it. But for now, I hope you all have a wonderful week up ahead. Thank you so much for watching.
I think that's it, right? Yes, this video is long enough.
So again, thank you everyone for watching. If you'd like a personal reading with me, I do have links in the description for you to be able to do so. So as well, watch for the September forecast, which will be coming out pretty soon. I know I've been saying that for a while now, right? But they're really coming out this time, so be on the lookout. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next week.